Is there any update on Evgeny Svechnikov?
The same update, guys, per the NHLPA, any player that's not skating is unfit to practice or unfit to play, and it's day to day.
Okay. With Franz Nielsen, he was obviously with the first group today. What's kind of your vision for him and how he'll be used this season, and how has he handled this first week of camp, not being with some of those guys that he maybe would have been practicing with a year ago?
Well, first of all, I think Franz has done a great job of controlling what he can control, and that's his effort, his attitude, and his play on a daily basis. He can't control the group I put him on. He can't control where I think I have him potentially in the lineup. All he can control is those things I talked about. When you start day one at camp, you look at as a coaching staff, you say, okay, this is where I think guys might be. And you go through the couple days and you do it again. You say, as of today, like this was where guys stood. That doesn't mean competition is over. We've got a lot of camp left and we've got a lot of season left. So competition continues. Franz Nielsen's competing for one of those top 12 spots. I had 13 guys out there today. That doesn't mean that those 13, it'll be 12 of those 13 in the lineup game one. That means that's where it stands today. We had some guys, some other guys that weren't in that were in the second group. That doesn't mean that the competition's over unless they let the competition be over through their play. If guys want to grab spots, they got to grab spots. You got a scrimmage tomorrow night, another practice, and another scrimmage. So let's grab spots. And in terms of Franz, he's like the other guys in the team. He's got to keep trying to earn the ice time. I think Franz has a great attitude. I think he's been a great pro. I've got tremendous amount of respect for him as a person. I've got a tremendous amount of respect for what he's done in his career. And, we're just looking at it and seeing who we're trying to figure out is going to start on January 14th. And we'll keep watching.
And then last one from me, what are the biggest differences you see in Michael Rasmussen in this camp from the training camp a season ago?
I think he's gotten a little bit quicker. I think that's the one thing that I know he worked hard on his skating, and I think his skating, especially when he's fresh, is much better. Sometimes when he gets tired, he comes out of his crouch a little bit too early. But I think when he's fresh, his skating's definitely been better. And I just think with Ras, it's learning how to, think a step ahead, to think quicker in those situations. We've played some little small area games where you got to know what you're doing with the puck before you get it. And that's just going to be a continued learning process for him. But definitely, I think when he's fresh, his skating stride's better and he's been quicker.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, Helene St. James, the Detroit Free Press.
Jeff, can you just clarify a little for me this whole unfit business, just in theory? Just in theory, if a player is out for a month, would we be told every day he's unfit, or would you?
Well, Helene, my direction is to say exactly what I just said, which is that the player's unfit to play and that he's day to day. And I think any theoretical question should go to the NHL offices.
Okay. It looked like you were focusing a bit on special teams today, and especially it looks like your first power play unit, Larkin, Bertuzzi, Mantha, Ryan, De Kaiser, maybe more or less set. But are you kind of playing around a bit more with the second? It looked like you were giving Merrill some looks on that.
Well, I'd start by saying we don't have a number one and a number two unit. And I say that with the reality of the fact that, our power play hasn't been good enough for anybody, and nor has any player been productive enough on the power play to be given a spot as the number one unit. I want to create two units. I hope they're super competitive, and I hope they both play great. And as we go through the year, if one creates separation, they'll become the number one unit. Who starts will depend on what unit's doing better and who's winning faceoff. So I don't think we have a one and a two unit. There was a long time, 8 years ago, there was two units here in Detroit. Pav had one and Z had the other, and they allows you to be real dangerous with both units. And so that's the approach that we're taking right now. Secondly, I'd say, we're still looking at, we're trying to have that balance of keeping people together to create chemistry while also figuring out, having the competition and figuring out which guys are the best guys to be in what spots. And so we gave Johnny Merrill a look at it. Today we've given Dennis Cholowski a look at it earlier through the week. We got to figure out who's going to be in our lineup and then who are the best guys to run those units. So we'll keep looking at it.
just the fact it looks like, I mean, you'll have at least one dangerous right-handed shot on each. How much of an advantage that at least in theory, should be?
Yeah, I think balance on your power play allows multiple looks for your attack, and it doesn't mean you can't have a good power play that's all lefties. But we've been hoping for righties where you can have a righty lefty, especially between the net front and the bumper. That means that's a dangerous play when you have a lefty righty in those situations, and so that makes your low plays that much more dangerous, which can open up some of your high plays as well. And so I think having a righty on each unit does give us a lot of balance, and it's something that we're excited about, those opportunities. We still got to go out and execute. Still comes down to scoring those dirty goals around the net. It still comes down to managing the puck. But I think it gives us a chance to be more successful.
And last for me, just is that kind of going to be more of the focus here the last week, and especially it sounds like tomorrow's scrimmage and maybe also Sundays, just getting some special teams action?
Well, I mean, I think we've had a big focus on it through camp. Like every day after each practice, we've had a long specialty team session, a good 30 to 45 minutes of specialty teams. We've done it a little bit different where on particular days, because we had 4 straight days in a row where a guy would be on a power play one day and the next day he would kill. And then we did that again today because we have one day in between the games. We got to get set up a little bit for the scrimmage. The guys did both. We will have specialty teams in both scrimmages. So there will be actual power plays and penalty kills. So I let Ken Calley that know that would be happening because they were wondering on the broadcast, I know for a while what we were doing. So they'll make sure we'll do that for sure. And again, it's going to be an important part of our team. It's going to be an important part of success. It is every year in the league.
Next question from Ansar Khan with M Live.
Yeah, Jeff, I saw you had Brome taking some reps on the line with Misnikov today. Is that because you want to see him with a more skilled player, kind of a top 9 situation? And I know you also like pairing players that are kind of similar in their styles. I mean, is it because you see some similarity there between those two?
Yeah, I think first off, I think we're going to have 4 lines. I don't know that we'll just have a top 9. We'll have 4 lines. I would say that, when Nemestikov was with Filppula and Gagne, which we may try that again. The only downside of that line is there's no probably true forechecker. Certainly Nemestikov does a really good job getting to the net. And so, we just wanted to have a different look. Adam Ernie, we put up on that line with Filppula and Glennie. We put with Brome and Nemestikov, and partly because, Brome's a guy who can make some plays. We want to see how he would play off of Nemestikov, and Glennie provides a lot of the engine, a lot of the forecheck on that group. And obviously, Glennie ends up finding his way to lots of ice time because he's a winning hockey player. And so if you're on that line, you get a chance to go out. You'll ultimately be in situations where you're playing against other teams' real good players. So we're going to see defensively, can Brome handle that? You're going to go out, you're playing lots of games, you're going to be big after goals. So it does give us a chance to give him a look with a guy like Nemestikov, who's a real smart offensive savvy player, and they think alike, but yet there's a guy in the line who provides lots of energy with Glennie.
And also, with that first power play unit, I see you've been using De Keyser at the point. Is that because you do you want a left-handed shot up there with that group, or would you also consider giving Hronek a look there?
Well, first of all, again, we don't have a first power play, but the unit with Mantha and De Keyser in that group there, there's 2 things I'd say to your question. Well, number one is there is some benefit from the fact that that's going to be a unit where there's Mantha as a lefty on that as you're looking at the net, that right flank. It is great if you can have a lefty to lefty combo there. So now when Larkin has the puck, he's got a lefty up top, he's got a lefty through the seam, he's got a lefty in the slot in the bumper area, and then you got a right that you can put the puck down to. So from a hands perspective, yes, I like that a lot. The other part of that is Filip Hronek. I think is a good up top on the power play, but I think he can be excellent in that spot on the as you're looking at the net, the left flank where he can one-time pucks, get to those areas and one-time pucks. I think he can He's shown himself to be really good in that spot. That's the spot that I prefer him in. That's the spot where I think he's excellent. I think up top he's good. So we'll see. We'll see. It might shake itself out where Hronek ends up top again. I want two units that are equally dangerous, and so we're hoping we can create that.
Thanks.
Next question from Ted Colfin with the Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff. What are you going to be looking for tomorrow night? I mean, it seemed like you were pleased, but maybe not thrilled about things the other day. What are you going to be looking for specifically? And you kind of alluded to it. I mean, any changes in how you guys are going to structure that thing tomorrow night? No.
Well, we won't. Again, we'll have specialty teams. The one thing when the first scrimmage, we want to make sure we got lots of 5-on-5 play, and we want to set the teams up way that our power plays weren't going to be allowed to be together. So now we're going to set the teams up where our power plays that we think might start the year, they'll get a chance. We'll have killers on both sides, and so that'll be one difference in that scrimmage. In terms of what I'm looking for, we want the scrimmages to replace exhibitions and to get us ready for January 14th. So I think the intensity has to be high. I don't want guys to get hurt, but the intensity has to be high. And if everybody's intensity is high, that's a positive. And then I want to lose the bad summer habits and create those good winning habits. And so that means skating, stopping, not kind of going for twirls and stuff like that, but actually coming back in your zone, stopping, being on the right side of people. All those habits that when you play summer hockey, you don't do, and when you play real hockey, you have to do. So we're just going to try to make it into as real a hockey as we can.
What have you thought about Thomas Greiss and why is he a good addition to the Red Wings this season?
Yeah, well, first off, he's a great pro. He's a great pro. He works. There's no, he just does whatever. He does all the work. He'll stay out with the guys after, take shots. So I think he's been a great pro, and I think both him and Bernie have looked good. Ultimately, I think if you can get both those guys going at a high level, it's kind of what I said in the power play. If you get them both going at a high level, I think that helps your depth. Number one, number two, it allows you to not take the full brunt of the season every single night. You can kind of flip flop a little bit, and then if one guy separates and one guy separates, but I think it gives a chance to have two really good goalies and both guys really, really good pros.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Next up, Art Regner with DetroitRedWings.com.
Hi, Jeff. Just to follow up on what Ted said, I mean, with the way this schedule is and playing every other day almost, I mean, can a guy, aren't you going to have to platoon your goaltenders just because of physical endurance?
I think it depends on your team. I've had conversations with people, I think in the last lockout year, I think you actually saw the opposite. I think the number ones played a majority of the games greater than normal, to be honest with you. If you look back at the statistics, that's what I've been told. That's not our situation though. We don't have a guy who's clearly ahead of the other guy. We got two guys that I think are really good, and I think the strength of our goaltending position could be if we get both of them going at a high level. So I don't think in necessarily the schedule dictated. I think more so, every team situation is a little bit different. And again, if one guy separates, then great. That's what competition's for. But if they both play great, even better. That part would be similar to what I've seen at times in college, going back to my days when I was at Miami University. We had two great guys. They both ran Friday, Saturday, and they were both successful, and the team was successful. So, I think I don't know that we're playing. It feels like we always play every other day in this league. So I don't think it's that much different. But I do think the strength of our goaltending position will be the two guys.
Jeff, you have coached at the international level, and with Team USA winning the World Junior Championship 2 nights ago. I am kind of curious how much of an accomplishment and how difficult is it for any team to win an international tournament?
Well, I'd start by saying that my wallet's a little heavier today. So I'd like to thank Trevor Thompson and Chris Draper for their donation to my wallet. Oh, look at that. He must turn the lights up. I would also say then, man, my heart was racing at the end of that game. My palms were sweaty. It was awesome to see I thought Nate Lehman and his staff did an outstanding job. John Van Beesbrook, Ryan Martin was with that team. I thought they did an outstanding job. I happened to get a chance to work the camp, so I got to see Nate Lehman, who coached at Providence College, who's an excellent coach. I got to see the job he did with the team there and the foundation he laid, and that carried forward. His guys played hard. They played the right way. It is extremely hard to win those tournaments. It's a one-and-done situation, and you can have great tournaments, and you get into the quarters and lose. I've been part of a team that's done that. We had an unreal run my first year with the World Championships, and then we lost all of a sudden to Finland, and it's over. You don't get another chance to come back. And ultimately, I think those are really hard tournaments to win. They're hard tournaments to medal in. And I think it says a lot for Nate and his staff, what they did in the players to be able to win that. I thought it was outstanding commitment. And then also, I think it says, a lot about USA Hockey, that it seems like every year we're in the mix, and we're super disappointed when we don't at least get a medal. That just, that's come a long way from when I grew up. And I think that's a great, great thing for USA Hockey. And, I'd be remiss to say again, if I didn't just bring up Jimmy Johansson's name and just say, a lot of the success that we'll continue to have in USA Hockey was because the work he did, and he passed away far too young.
Jeff, I promise this is my final question, but just a little bit of a follow-up on that. Is it the development program? Is that the turning point why USA Hockey now is among the very best in the world?
I don't think it's one program. I think it's the commitment that USA Hockey made. They did a ton of research. The American development model is about a lot more than just one program. They've done a ton of research to really try to initiate the best practices they could. And they've been, Kevin McLaughlin works out of the office at Colorado Springs. Him and his staff do an outstanding job with that stuff. So I think it's been a number of factors, including, and probably just important, when Wayne Gretzky got traded to LA, that started to open up a lot of different Sun Belt cities. And now California became good. Dallas gets a team, they become good. Florida, also they start producing out of so many different areas in the United States. So we're not restricted to 3 states of Michigan, Massachusetts, and Minnesota. On that team, it was extraordinarily really representative of the entire United States. And I think when your pool gets bigger and bigger too, that can only help you as more. But we still got lots of work to do. The National Team Development Program does a great job. The United States Hockey League does a great job. College hockey does a great job. But we got lots of work to continue to try to stay at the top, and we got to make sure that our focus as parents and as coaches with our youth players is good, and that we're not burning players out, and that we're making sure that we're developing all our young people to be great people down the road. And then if enough of them turn out to be good players, that's awesome.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Last question for Larry Lage with Associated Press.
Hey, Jeff, I know your focus is getting your team ready for the season, but can you take a look at this stacked new look Central Division you're in? You got the Stanley Cup champion and runner-up in it, and a bunch of other good teams that you're going to have to compete with quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a good question, Larry. I had a conversation with another coach in our division. I said, where do you think this division's at in comparison? And I think we both agreed it's really difficult. Now you look at the other divisions and they look difficult, and you could certainly, I'm sure there's debate going on about what divisions are more difficult. I know ours is. Obviously you got the 2 teams that competed for the Stanley Cup in our division with Dallas and Tampa. You got teams that were part of the playoffs, so it'll be a challenge. But the thing about it is, I think that's what this league is. I think, historically, almost every team's good, and there's not huge separation. I think our bigger challenge is just us improving ourselves every day here and trying to make sure that, that our individuals are getting better, and that as we go into the year, we put ourselves in a position to win every night. And then we'll see as we go, what type of confidence we can garner from having good performances. So I'm just, again, I think Carolina, I know the one thing of all the teams in the bubble, they looked like they were shot out of a cannon in that first game. And so we're going to have to be ready for that same approach here when we get to January 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. That's it for us today. We'll see you again tomorrow.